Both the interim government then and pro-Morsy protesters pretty much know the real showdown has yet to take place. Let's bring in Faisal Al-Yafai, who is chief columnist from The National, based here in Abu Dhabi, about what is this ticking time bomb. A couple of pieces of news out today, then. We have learned that the Interior Ministry is effectively set with its security service to clear out these, what are two very big protest groups who are looking for the reinstatement of the deposed President Mohamed Morsy. We also know that those who are in these camps are determined to dig in. How do you assess what has happened since last time we saw Mohamed Morsy, which was exactly a month ago?
Well, the first thing to say is that it is not a coup. As much as people say they are not certain why it is not a coup, even though it looks like one, the fact of the matter is Morsy lost legitimacy. Now, whether you agree with the way it was done, you must agree that at some point there were sufficient numbers of people on the street, millions and millions of Egyptians.
They don't have to agree, because all of those who are sitting on the streets today don't agree with you.
Well,
they say he was
not.
a democratically elected president and he was deposed by the will of the military and some secular internationalists, as it were, who wanted change.
Yeah, the military certainly say they were responding to what the people wanted. You can ask whether they had to respond quite so quickly and quite so forcefully. But regardless, it is clearly time for the Morsy camp to understand that he is not coming back. He's not going to be president again. We've entered a new stage in this post-revolutionary period, and it's not clear what the end game is going to be.
So I think the point you're making, and it's probably a very good one, is at this stage it's unlikely that Morsy is back. What happens to the Muslim Brotherhood, though, at this point? Because they haven't gone yet, nor will they going forward. They will remain a group, won't they? The likelihood is, though, they could be driven underground at this point.
Precisely. What happens to the Muslim Brotherhood now will decide what happens to Egypt. And it is entirely down to the army. If the army feels that this is their opportunity to get rid of the Brotherhood, then they will do precisely that. They will drive it underground. What needs to happen is that they have to find a way to bring them back into democratic politics, because Islamism is a strand of Egyptian politics. It is not something they can get rid of.
It's no secret that the Gulf states, especially Saudi and the UAE, have intensely disliked, let's say, the Muslim Brotherhood. I think I would be correct in saying that I don't think many people would disagree with me there. They have thrown their weight behind what is this new era in Egyptian politics because it suits them to all intents and purposes. How do you read that?
Well, the Gulf states are interested in Egypt for two reasons. The first reason is that, frankly, Egypt is too big to fail. It is an enormous country, and there are hundreds of thousands of Egyptians in the Gulf, living here, raising families, running businesses. So what happens in the Arab world's largest country will find its way to the Gulf. That's the first point. The second point, yes, you're absolutely right, of course. The UAE and the Saudis are no fans of the Brotherhood. The UAE particularly has had its own problems with the offshoot of the Brotherhood, Islah. They sentenced their activists to jail time. They are not happy, and they have learned from the Qataris that what you do is you put your money where your mouth is, you put your money where your ideas is, you get in quickly and you provide a lot of money.
But interestingly enough, the Qataris threw their weight behind Morsy, didn't it? Because that satisfied them in the sort of pre-new era in Egypt. Where do they stand now?
It's a good question. It's not clear what happens now the sun has taken over. I think it is likely that they will find that their allegiance to the Brotherhood is not as important as their allegiance to their own country. And what they'll do is they'll put money behind whatever happens in Egypt. At the end of the day, the Gulf states are more interested in stability than they are in radical change. Follow the money is what you're saying. I mean, the regional influence on Egypt is going to be huge, isn't it, going forward? Absolutely. $12 billion, which is the amount that the UAE and the Saudis pledged, buys you a lot of leverage. It's not going to overshadow the amount of money that the Americans give, but it's certainly going to make the leadership of Egypt sit up and take notice.